Nope.
recording started.
I better comb my beard.
Apologies. Oh my God, I totally forgot that I had to record it. Anyway, we're recording now. Rex, continue. Pardon me for the interruption.
That's okay. It's good to talk to you and the rest of the Tua here, where you can actually see everyone. Of course, with my Irish connections, I have a big Irish family in the Quins, and so I've been interested in Ireland and that kind of the history and the mythology for decades. And I happened to pick up, I think it was around 2010 or so, your Island of the Setting Sun. And from then, I started checking in on the website on occasion. And so it was about a 10-year journey of bouncing back and forth. And finally, COVID started, and it was a definite lifeline with you and the MythFlix every day for, I think, up to August, from March to August, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it was such a hoot. And that was just like when you said it was going weekly, I was like going, no.
Yeah.
Believe me, I understood why you had to go back to work, you know. But yeah, as far as my interest in archaeology and whatnot, I've been involved with a few archaeological projects here in Louisiana. There's a huge site in North Louisiana called Poverty Point, part of the Mississippian culture. They had a huge influence all up and down the middle part of the country, following the Mississippi River, all the way up into Canada and Michigan, down into Louisiana. North Louisiana actually has over 150 major mound sites.
Wow.
So I've been involved with a lot of video production up in that neck of the woods and everything. But I have to say that I've enjoyed every bit of your MythFlix. I enjoy hearing the stories, and I think that one of the main things is
You're going to wander down the driveway.
I learned how to pronounce a lot of the mythological names, because I don't get a lot of Irish here in my area. So
Yeah. As if you haven't grown up with it, it can be difficult. Irish, interestingly, it's not the only language, but I know that phonetically, the words look a lot different to how they sound. But that's fascinating. Believe it or not, back in 2010, if you purchased Island of the Setting Sun, that at the time was my only book.
Yeah.
First published in 2006. I think the next book didn't come until 2012, and 8 more in the intervening period. So yeah, they were interesting times. And it's still going strong today, thankfully. But yeah, brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. It's great to see you, by the way, because I'm not sure if we were on a Zoom together before.
no,
So
not a Zoom, but when I won that, I posted a picture. So
yeah.
I have to say, I purchased your last Mythical Ireland book twice, because my first one I left in the rental car in Seattle. So
So somebody else out there got a nice gift.
yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
Anyway, it's great to talk to you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Rex. And that's exactly what we want you to do, is to leave your book somewhere so that somebody else picks it up, and then you have to buy another one.
There you go.
Brilliant. I'll pass the microphone over to Sheila Gunn. Sheila.
Hello there, everybody. Well, you wanted to see offices as well, Anthony? There you go. Bookshelves galore.
That looks very familiar.
Doesn't it? There's a few years in there, all over the place. So what can I say? Well, my interest, I'll make it brief for everybody else's benefit, but my interest was obviously because of my background, being Irish, well, Irish-Scottish, shall we say. My great-grandmother and my grandfather came from Ireland. But I also had an experience in Ireland when I was a small child. And I know you know the story, Anthony, but you were a godsend and a blessing in 2020, because 6 years prior to that, I found my brother after 50 years. We had been separated at the docks in Ireland as small children. And when I was eventually reunited with my mum, our mother, Nobody could understand me because all I spoke was Irish.
Ah,
So, and I was a bit of a wild child at that point. But fast forward 50 years later, I found my brother and I got 6 blessed years with him. And he had his own demons as well. But in August 2020, he crossed over. And I had to go back to Scotland where he was living right in the height of the pandemic. And I was grateful that they'd kept the internet on in his home because I checked in. And you were my grounding. And it was just an awesome experience to be part of the tour and just be there with my culture, my heritage, and family. So grateful, thanks. And yes, I'm a bit of a weird one over here. I was born with a veil, so, and your books line my shelf among many others. And I've always been interested in archaeology and our history. So thank you for welcoming me and thank you for doing all the work you do.
my absolute
We'll
pleasure.
keep it short.
And thank you for all your support. You have been a great supporter of Mythical Ireland, and it's greatly appreciated because at the end of the day, it started 25 years ago, and for a long time it was basically a glorified hobby, you know, and now it's, you know, a significant contributor to my income. You know, so I could do it basically full time, which I couldn't do before. So, and that's
And I understand that, Anthony, because I left corporate to do the seer work I do today with 2 small children as a single mom. But I knew I had to have faith in making that leap. And we've got to believe in ourselves, and you did, and we all believe in you. So well done.
brilliant. And thank you for sharing that story too about your brother. Wow.
It was at
very-
the height of the troubles in Ireland. It was not a good time to be separated.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine. I can imagine. But you're all the better for the experience. You haven't. It hasn't
absolutely.
sullied your view of mankind
No.
and people, which is
No.
great. You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's great to see you, by the way. I don't know. There's 2 screenfuls of people now. I believe Heather Marie Leaning has joined us. Adina Sparks is there. Mavanwi is there. Who else did I not see earlier? Tom King is apparently in the house somewhere because I see people saying hello to him. I don't see him. Oh, there he is. There he is. And Archaeoastronomy Database, Ty, is in the house. Saoirse Ní was, I believe, the next one in line. And if I'm not getting it precisely right, please do forgive me. I'll blame it on the whiskey. But you take control there, Saoirse. I'm going to sit back and just relax, you know.
Hiya, Tua, can you hear me now? Aye.
Can you? Yeah.
I can. Hiya, Tua, Kajimanateshev, and my family, and Tom, and Johnny Wilson there. You seen some of my friends there, so coming from Donegal here. And so I have the silky hair, and I don't know if you can see it there, but anyway, the silky whiskey is the first legal distillery in Donegal in 400 years. And
Wow.
yeah, well, anyway, it's a long time, and it's really, really good because I use the peat to flavor it. So it's the ancient recipe. So it's really good, and you can get it in America, or all of you in America there. And then, of course, I was talking about the poaching. The Crawley distillery is over in Crawley in the Gaeltacht also, and they you can get the poaching. Now, Slieve League in Ardra with the silky, they have poaching there that you can taste, but you can't buy it. And it's really, really good. But this one you can buy and bring home. And the Crawley distillery was in it's in an old doll factory that also was a RIC barracks back in the War for Independence there. And so one of the first people that died in the War for Independence was a soldier in the window in the upstairs there, and he died and was shot because he was looking out the window, and it was mistaken there. And so ever since then, even when it was a doll factory later on, the blood would seep through the linoleum, and people would see ghosts they'd see him there at night, and they would see him out patrolling, even up until modern times. So now it's a distillery, and I was asking him, like, are you seeing your man there? And they said, yeah, well, so on the 100th anniversary of when he was shot, and they found a glass on the bar that wasn't there before, and and the alarms went off in the distillery, and so and when they went to investigate, no one was there. It was like 3 a.m, so it was like at the time 100 years exactly this
Wow.
happened. So it's documented in the Keith Corrigan's book. But anyway, so enough of that. Anthony, I just want to say trying to know why Tuatha, and I think your Gaelic is good, so Mayu. And sure, it's Saoirse. I say Saoirse in handle, so Saoirse. Some people say Saoirse down in Enniscorthy, but well, that's their opinion. Yeah.
Saoirse.
Yeah, so during the COVID is when I discovered it. And at the time, as Johnny well knows, I was surviving in Texas because it's so hot there. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But and then of course you have the tornadoes and the awful storms, and it's like the blitz every time they come over. So I was always scared, for that. And it's like I want to go home. So I was stuck there for 8 years, but made it home. But you helped me through it, like all of us. And we made good friends. So during that time period, I ordered all the books. And actually, I came to look at the Mythical Ireland, just like, oh, yeah, right. Here we go. Another one. Let's see if this is any good, And well, then there you are from Drogheda. So it's okay. Well, maybe. And then it was all the mythical. And then you had the astronomical bit, and you had the Wheel of the Air, and everything's like, oh man, this spot on, this is good, And so anyway, so I ordered all the books, and that was one of my COVID projects there, is to read all the books that you had out at the time. So, and they were autographed, and they came fine. So anyway,
Brilliant.
that was a good crack. And then when we came home, and then we did a grand tour of Sasana from Alban, Scotland, down to Kent, and then over to Cornwall and Wales, and then back up to Scotland again, the Lake District. And on the way, some of our friends here from the Tuatha, we met up in Bristol, and so my family, because she's from Wales. I was hoping to meet her in Wales, but she was living in Bristol at the time. And so then we went on a Bedlam and Mayhem tour of Bedminster, and it was really interesting. We had a good crack there. And so, hi, my family. If you want to say anything, that you can chime in on that. But it was good crack.
It's
Oh,
okay,
it-
ladies. What
it was
happened in
lovely to meet you.
Bedminster stays in Bedminster, okay?
There you go.
It was an alternative tour.
So there. All right. Well, that's all I had to say. It's good talking to you. Looking forward to seeing you there at Brandabua and Tom King's on Four Knox and all of that. So it's
Ramila Mahagat, Saoirse, thank you for your kind words, and I'm very glad that that it was a light in the darkness, as it were. And thank you for your compliments. Tá beagán Gaeilge agam, not bad for a guy from the Pale, Well, thanks indeed. I don't know who was next. I think it was Johnny Wilson, was it? And then John Inman. If I remember right, Joe. Yeah. So Johnny, open your mic there, and we'll
Can you hear me now?
we can.
Howdy, y'all, from big Dallas, Texas. Yeah, I was over there in Ireland this year for 3 months, and it made a big difference from watching you on the internet, on Facebook and everything, and actually seeing you live and going to the book signing, and then going down in the 100-year-old beehive, hive in that one talk you had. that the experience I had then with your tours has touched me. I have didn't expect any of that, and then when I was able to, made a world of a difference. And I've talked about this to other people and bragged about. That was my one boy here. He's trying to sneak in on the world.
Hello there.
That's Dylan. Nice to meet you. But,
you too.
It's not a dog like you have, but these kids seem to climb around a lot. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that and how much I have enjoyed it. I have my phone on the timer, and I let everybody know that I'm out of pocket right now. I'll step out of school or that kind of stuff and sit in my truck. I said, that's it. I'll come back. But yeah, and then watching everybody else's comments and everything. It's like a big family now. It's like a family reunion with everybody talking, and we can see each other.
I
Of course,
know.
we see each other at home, and it's like, oh no. Should have painted that wall.
I get to see. I get to put faces to names. When you're used to speaking to someone, it's like when I was younger, listening to a radio show for months and months, and then eventually you see a picture of the host, and you're like, "That's not the guy. That's not the lady that I've been listening to for months." I had an entirely different picture. Yeah.
Yeah,
don't worry.
You're shorter or taller, or I thought you had more hair on your head then.
Don't worry, you're all beautiful, okay? But Johnny, I think out of the 3 events that you attended, probably the most special one I thought was at Cruban, because it was fairly exclusive and there wouldn't be many things going on there, overlooking the bend of the Boyne with Nowth in the background. I just thought the ambience that day was very special. It was great to meet you. And I mean, talk about enthusiasm. You turned up at the book launch, and then you turned up at, wasn't it Ishnock? And then you turned up at Cruban. I said, this man is absolutely cramming it all in, But
I was over in Galway when I was taking the buses, and there's a lot of walking going on there.
Hey, look, you live in Texas. You can drive for 9 hours in Texas and still be in the same state. We can't drive for 9 hours in Ireland unless we drive into the ocean, So we're used to doing a lot of walking. Anyway, it was lovely to actually be able to meet you because a few years ago, especially in 2020 when we were having the daily episodes, we didn't know if actually there were times when we didn't know if we'd ever get the chance. So I suppose we'll count our blessings, as they say. Anyway, thanks for dropping in. I didn't mean to be kind of. I didn't even really want to host this as such. I just prefer just to hear people talking and just, because I just do enough of it. All you need to do is ask my wife. She's put up with me for 22 years. She knows I can talk. No need. We went as kids to the Blarney Stone in Blarney Castle in Cork. And for those of you not familiar with the Blarney Stone, the folklore is that if you kiss it, you will get what's called the gift of the gab. That if you're anyway reserved or quiet or lacking in words, that suddenly you'll become very loquacious. My mother always told me, you don't need to kiss the Blarney Stone, you're all right. So I didn't. Perhaps if I'd kissed it, I would have gone quiet. And much to the enjoyment of marital harmony, or matrimonial harmony, but maybe not so much for the Tuatha. Thanks, Johnny. I'll pass it over to John Inman. And I see, pardon me, Joe, you might just prompt me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure if there were others in the queue, but Rossio has her hand up. And I'm not sure if there's others after that. But anyway, please. Oh, yeah. So before we finish tonight, we will open all the mics and sit back and listen to the chaos. I'd love just for there to be conversations that don't actually involve me which would be lovely for a change. John Inman, you're up. It's your turn, mate. John Inman is in Iowa, isn't it? He's going to correct me now and say no.
Okay.
I'm in
No,
Cork.
I'm in Eureka, California.
California. I knew I got it wrong.
Redwoods. I've always loved to live in places that are green. I've yet to visit Ireland. I dearly love to visit. Any places green is where I belong. I was born in Southern California in Santa Barbara County. And I first got, growing up, every St. Patrick's Day was in the 50s and 60s was really big. And it kind of had a hangover. And the films are full of, not so much Irish lore, maybe a little, but it's all about loving the Irish. So it followed suit. And then I listened to a documentary on was about 1960 about it wasn't the Troubles yet, but kind of the history. And I was immediately interested. At the Santa Barbara Library, I got an album, an LP of a woman singing with an Irish harp. She's well known. I don't recall her name right now, but she's well known for singing in Gaelic. She mixed it with English as well and playing the Irish harp. And the song that I remembered was the song of the farmer and the fox. You would know it. There's several versions of it. And I was immediately taken to it. And I loved Irish song. I grew up singing. I took lessons and such. Let me see. From then, I was always interested in folklore all my life. Before that, my father used to read me Bullfinch's mythology and then better mythology, and I couldn't even understand it. And he said, "Can you understand that?" I said, "No, but I like the sound." and so it did go on. Then in about 1963, I became a Catholic, and all my priests and a lot of my fellow parishioners were Irish. And I always used to go to the altar of St. Patrick, and they had this wonderful litany of the Irish saints. I said, "Oh my God." And so I came to you, and I'll be sure because there's other people, through Eddie Lanigan, because I've always been interested in, unseen forces, good or bad, and such. And that's continued to this day because Tibetan Buddhists have all that lore. I've often comment on it, that we have a lot of parallels. I put something in the chat. You were talking about the red deer and then the cows that were brought in. I said, and so when they told me to you that there's a special offering that you make to beneficial spirits. It's made from milk, and they always say, from the red cow. I said, "Oh, there's that lore about the red cow in Irish myth." So anyway, Eddie Lanigan brought me to you. I got into a whole thing about how he has the gift of the gab. He must have kissed the Barney Stone.
He certainly does, Eddie.
And I just loved it, and so that's how I got to you. And I'm so grateful. And I certainly will go through each and every one of is it 300?
Yeah.
Episodes? I will. And this is the time of the month where I contribute, because reoccurring ones, I'm on the dole, and no, I'm retired. I earned it. And anyway, that's it for now. And oh, what wonderful company you have. It's so good to be with all of you. You're so agreeable and pleasant. You remind me of the community that I have with cooks. They have that kind of thing often. And also movie movie fans. All right, that's it for now. And so it's so great.
Thank you, John, and for reminding me that there are actually parts of California that are green and verdant. It's not all desert and mountains and parched landscapes. Brilliant stuff. thanks for sharing.
It used to rain here a lot,
Mm.
60 inches a year where I live now in the northern part of the county of Humboldt, and then up to 100 and more in the southern part. So that's changed.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Of course, we look forward to seeing you on future episodes. As long as I'm able to, sure, we've done it for 4.5 years. We might as well continue 300 episodes. Let's go for the 500. You know.
Yes, indeed.
And if you read my email today, or if you're on yesterday's live stream, you'll know that I'm quite confident that there's easily enough material for another 200 episodes. I wouldn't have thought that, believe it or not, in the first few weeks of Live Irish Myths, I wouldn't have thought we'd even get to 100. But it's funny how an hour, sometimes more, really flies by. And you find that in a lot of cases, you've only really skimmed the surface of a subject, you know, which is why reading books is lovely. It's great to have some out of copyright stuff that we can read and then make our own additions to it as we go along. Okay, there's loads of people with hands up now, so I'm going to move it
Yes,
along.
anyway, it's great that you were available during the plague. It was just the balm of Gilead.
Yeah, well, I would reverse it and say it was great that you guys were available to me, because otherwise I would have been speaking in an empty room.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who was first. I think Rossio was first. So, Rossio, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correct. I know we saw you on yesterday's live stream, but I think you're in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, go ahead, and please, you talk so that I'll shut up.
Okay, well, two things first. I apologize if my English is not very good looking because it's not my native language. And the other thing is someone outside is working. So if you hear something weird, it's because of them. So how I came to your channel, I actually, it was during the pandemic, and I was taking care of my mom because she got sick with the COVID, and she was in bed like for 6 months, more or less. And I was taking care of her. So I draw for a living. I'm an artist. So one of my clients asked me to make a drawing about Holland, and I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know anything about Irish mythology, anything at all. But when I started reading about the hero, I got really interested, and I got like a little obsessed over him, and I started searching for information and documentaries about him, and the ones I usually found wasn't like didn't dig too much in the character and his story, and then YouTube suggested me your channel, and I started watching it, and I got like really excited because it had like a lot of information. It was what you were giving like some book sources, and I started finding them, and I bought ones. My bookshelf isn't too large; it's just that. But yeah, that's how I got into a channel, and I'm very glad. I'm not like too much around in the live streams because of work, but I've been watching your videos since the day one. I'm like in the one 180, I guess. Yes, and I recently saw the Samhain one.
Oh, brilliant. Well, first of all, your English is very good. Absolutely no difficulty whatsoever understanding you. And yeah, that's interesting. Cuchulainn is an interesting character. It's often been said here in Ireland that it's amazing that Hollywood hasn't picked up on the story of Cuchulainn, you know.
I think they know it. They will ruin him.
Well, I'm inclined to agree with you, you know. There's an epic movie, if not an entire series, that could be made based on Táin Bó Cúailnge, you know, and it is a fairly major saga as Irish sagas go. I like the Setanta version of Cuchulainn. I don't like the bloodthirsty warrior lopping off heads by the dozen. There's something about that jars with me a little bit. But maybe that's part of the reason he hasn't achieved sort of modern popular fame, as it were. But anyway, thank you very much, and you're perfectly understandable to, I hope, all of us.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you on more of the episodes, and hopefully spark some more, shall we say, rabbit holes. Some more paths of investigation and interest for you. So much appreciated, and thanks for joining us.
Yes, I learned a lot. Thank you.
Joe, I don't know who's next. I see 5 hands up, and I think Desiree wanted to speak as well, but I don't know who wants.
Anthony, Marianne's been waiting a while, and she has her hand up. And Tom wants to speak, and Desiree wants to speak. Desiree, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Christy, I think, and C. Cleary and Anya Kelly Bonifoy, I think it might be. So Mariana, I believe, is first in the queue. Tom will have to wait. I hope those torches have plenty of paraffin in them, Tom. They'll be burnt out by the time you get to talk. Mariana, sorry for keeping you waiting.
No,
the camera now.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you
Yes.
perfectly well, yeah.
Oh, good. So first I wanted to show you that I do have this handy. Yes. But it's too early for me to have a dram. It's too early in the day for me. I also want to show you that I have on my Mythical Ireland t-shirt. And this is a very special piece by An Goba, which I'm very proud to wear. And I must say, I had visited Ireland before the pandemic. And unfortunately, I didn't know all these things about myths and legends. I really didn't. I wasn't immersed in that. But I had done the Wild Atlantic Way with my spouse and 2 other friends. And when the pandemic hit, we had plans to do a lot more travel, and then we were stuck. We couldn't go anywhere, and we had just retired, and it was maddening because we had all these plans, and so I started thinking about how I'm going to spend my time in retirement, because I didn't really have a solid plan of, what type of volunteer work I was going to do. And I stumbled upon Mythical Ireland, and I just was like pulled in by all of the information, and I was really intrigued by the fact that Anthony has brought together all these different disciplines, and you're such a great storyteller to start with. But it was so informative, and also in terms of participating and seeing how you interacted with the Tuatha, that was really incredible, because everyone was kind of dealing with the same thing. That was a common thread for a lot of us, dealing with being cocooned with our families, our loved ones, and with our animals, and so it was a touchstone for me, being part of this community. And also, what was exciting is there are a lot of creative people that are involved in this group, artists. I sing. Music is what I do. But I have a brother who's a photographer and art educator, and just I started sharing information about Mythical Ireland with my brother and my sister. I have Irish ancestry. My mother was a Curly, her mother was a Mahoney. We think we have family roots in Roscommon. I'm not sure, but we haven't been able to trace it back. The documents in some cases were burned in a fire in some instances. And but anyway, when the pandemic came to a close, I managed to do this fantastic trip, which was I got to meet Anthony in person. I went to Drogheda. We did a walking tour of the wonderful murals that were on the buildings in Drogheda. That was just phenomenal. And I did, we had a second day where we were able to go to Bruneboyne.
You are frozen for me, Mariana. And did she disappear? Connection problems, I think. Am I right? Is she still
Anyway,
there? Is she
I
gone?
want to wrap it up. I just want to wrap it up because I know there are other folks that want to say something. This to me is a real gift to have this group of people, and having met Tom, gone to his forge, and having met Anthony and his lovely wife Anne. I just feel like it's a real gift to have this connection and to be able to share our experiences. And those episodes, we have a lot of crack, and I enjoy the interactions and what people have to share. So maybe someday I'll have an opportunity to meet more people in person. But right now, just know that I am just grateful to be part of this community. Thank you.
Yeah, we're very grateful to have you as part of the community as well, Mariana. And it was, of course, a great pleasure to meet you and to show you around, as they say. And yeah, one of the big things for me about curating, as it were, a community is to try to make it a welcoming and friendly space. And if you spent all of your time reading and watching short videos on the likes of Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and others, you actually end up with a slightly distorted view, because there's so many people out there who just so much unfiltered nastiness these days. People just with no filter at all, just spew what comes out of their mouth. They don't care who they insult. They don't care what they say about people. They don't care who they piss off. And Live Irish Myths was never, ever going to be about that. And of course, as an Irishman, I was going to say earlier on, as an Irishman, it behoves me to bestow upon all of you the thing that we are, I believe, most greatly renowned for, apart from the drinking. And that's a kind of a bit of a joke, so don't take it too seriously. Which is the Céad Míle Fáilte, the Irish welcome. The welcome to the stranger. We, as a people, throughout generations and centuries, of course, suffered oppression and isolation, and we were made welcome in other parts of the world. But of course, when people come to Irish shores, they're always made to feel welcome too. Thanks, Mariana, and all the best to you. And yours, as they say. I don't know what the order is now, so I'm just going to call one at a time. Forgive me if it's not exactly right, but everybody has their hand up will get a chance to talk. Anya, you might pronounce is it Kelly Bonifoy, is it?
Yes, that's right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly well.
Good, good. So I don't know if you can see, that's a poster of Trim behind me. That's where I come from, but I now live in France, and but I've been over and back. And if I had known about your site during the lockdown, I used to go up to Drogheda a lot, but because it's still in County Meath, you know, for me, so I was able to do that. Yes, I wish I had known. It's a pure fluke that I've come across all you lovely people. This evening, I wanted to look at Bob Quinn. You know, I was looking up Bob Quinn on YouTube, and I came across your site, and then I saw the live because yeah, I used to know Bob years ago in Galway, and I was interested in his. I mean, I presume that a lot of you know about Bob Quinn. You know how he was able to link Ireland with North Africa. You know, from Cairo to Connemara. And so he did a lot of very interesting work on that. So I'm writing an author's note at the moment for a book that's going to be published next year, very soon, in fact, on Trim. And I actually found a great word in that YouTube, which is exoticization. And so that is what Bob used. That's the word he used, you know, and that is what I have done, I hope, with Trim, because many people do not know, but that there was, you know, there was a Greek church in Trim, there was a Greek Orthodox church in Trim. This is all authenticated, and it took me quite a while to get through. You know, I mean, I did, you know, I went to Trinity recently, and I did an MPhil in medieval history. So I'm not really in the myth department, but it's sort of what it's actually, there's a lot in it that's stranger than fiction. And I do have Tara, the conflict with Tara and Trim coming in a lot. So anyway, just to say that I'm delighted to be on this, I hope to, I have signed up, so I hope that I get a notification of your next sessions. Okay,
Brilliant.
thank you.
Brilliant stuff, Anya. And you're in France.
I'm in Avignon. Avignon, yes.
So
Yes.
I will say to you, bonsoir, mon ami, and hopefully we'll see you on future episodes. Trim, by the way, for those of you who don't know it, is much further up the Boyne River. The same river connects the two towns. And of course, Trim, a very major Anglo-Norman settlement there, and the biggest Anglo-Norman castle in Ireland. I don't know, there's just something very picturesque about Trim. There's something very nice and beautiful about the place, you know.
Well, I just give what it took a long time for academia to take on board, and I have 99% proved it, that in fact, one of the four Templars in 1314, one of the four Templar leaders, was in fact the son of Geoffrey de Geneville of Trim. So the title of my book is The Two Geoffreys, the same name as the father, Geoffrey de Geneville, the two Geoffreys of Trim Castle. And so history quite conveniently forgot that the number 4 Templar came from Trim. After that, I'm not a Templar person at all, because I don't want anybody to think, you know, people can get all sorts of ideas about, you know, oh, she's into the Templars. Not at all. I'm just interested in setting the facts straight about medieval Trim. And I'm delighted that it's an American publisher, Witan Publishers in Alabama, Troy, Alabama, who are publishing my book in the next few months.
Brilliant. Well, all the very best with it.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And don't mind academia. They're slow to catch up sometimes, you know. You just have to bring them on with you. Thanks, Anya. What a pleasure. And looking forward to seeing you on some of the live episodes. I don't know. See Cleary, is that Catherine? Is that yes, Catherine. And then after that, it's Christy and Tom and Desiree, I think.
Hi.
Hello.
It's wonderful to join you all. Truly, I feel like I have 40 friends with me now from Ireland and other places. I'm in San Diego, California. I have been to Ireland. I have Irish ancestry, and I've lived in France for 8 years. I was fortunate to retire early. I've only been with the group about maybe a year or so. My interest is my degrees are in psychology, but my interest in myth and symbols goes back, of course, to the great Joseph Campbell and also Carl Jung. I had the opportunity to and the need to be in Jungian therapy with an incredible therapist for a couple of years, discovering the symbols and the great sort of wisdom. I dream all night, every night. And learned so much about myself and the world during that experience. And the Irish ancestry, my father fought in World War II, a fighter pilot, and his nickname was Irish. So there's a lot of Irish, but I didn't know anything about his family until my brother-in-law decided we did Ancestry, and I also have a lot of Scottish. And he was able, we worked together, he was able to discover much about my grandparents, my father's parents, and where they're from, etc. in Ireland. And I have been interested, well, I love Ireland and I love my Irish roots, and have been seriously looking into relocating to Ireland. And stranger things have happened. So anyway, I think that's sort of in a nutshell why I'm here. I know I'm behind in purchasing some books, but I want you all to know, and Anthony in particular, but all, that just the connection on a weekly basis with you and the community is heartening. The United States is in, as much of the world, in much turmoil these days, and just having a lovely, beautiful, wonderful connection, hearing your voice and now the others, is literally heartening to my soul each week. So thank you. Thank you, so all of you, so very, very much.
Thank you. Wow. A big round of applause going on there, Catherine. Thank you for sharing all that. And just to forewarn you, if it happens that you relocate to Ireland, you may need to bring some extra layers, and there will be certainly I think you said, did you say you're in San Diego?
San Diego.
No, San Diego, yeah. You're going to have to make a slight climatic readjustment.
I've lived in other parts of the world, in the countries, and believe it or not, I actually miss all of the snow and storms and rain, and I really think I'm an Irish woman through and through, because I long for all of that.
Yeah, well, you get plenty of it here. Not so much snow these days. Certainly plenty of rain, Anyway, if you happen to make it here at some point, let's try to meet up and have a coffee.
Absolutely. One of my goals.
Yeah.
One of my goals, for sure. I hope to meet you and others. It's on my to-do list.
Great stuff. Good stuff. Christy Goodlett, I think, is next, or at least, and then Tom, and then Desiree, and then Sally Siggins is here, by the way, all the way from Schligach. Sally, great to see you. Christy, you go ahead there and open your microphone if you can.
So just want to say thank you to everyone, pretty much, not just you, Anthony, but, watching Tom transform himself over the last 4 years has been magnificent and absolutely inspiring to watch. Joe Butler, lovely to see your face. You've been such a giant in the community. The artists, the creatives, I love all of your work. It's absolutely stunning. Of course, being an Australian, I've got Irish ancestry. And doing personal development, it's been a wild ride to let go some of the victimhood from that and step into the power of the Irish, because it doesn't matter where we are, right? What is there? 80 million people around the world identify with Irish ancestry. Like, the English might have tried to knock us out, but we're going strong, yeah? And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, the whole community. It's a real real mark of a true leader and true leadership to see the people that they surround themselves with. And so, it's just an absolute wonderful community. As I said, we had our third baby born a month into lockdown, and I didn't discover the myths until we actually had to move into town for her sake. We were on a farm in a camper trailer, and the dirt road got used by trucks anyway. So we moved into town, and you saved my sanity, because I swore I would never, ever live in town. We've got 200 acres here. I was raised on 200 acres. We're not town people. And so thank you for that touchstone, as everyone calls it. But seeing your journey too, Anthony, I first found your blog in 2017 on my first step of my journey of discovery, because I learned to meditate, and the first goddess that came to me was the kayak. So when I did Google search about her and came across some stuff that just did not resonate at all, came across your stuff, and I went, this bloke's a bit of all right, eh? I might follow him. And here we are.
Yeah.
Crazy hot and humid here in Queensland. It's probably about 33 already. 80% humidity, I'd reckon. So thank you. And thank you all. Like, thank you to the whole community. You're all awesome.
100%. Yeah, and just to reiterate that the importance of that community, and to mention the creatives, which was a lovely thing to throw in there, that an offshoot of the whole thing that really emerged out of Live Irish Myths was there were so many creative people. We actually created a group called Mythical Ireland Creatives, where the artistic and creative and writers and the poets and the sculptors and the artists and the musicians could create, share their work. And to give them a platform for that. So that's been lovely to see that. And as you say, Christy, you're absolutely right. There's so much talent. There's so many people that, and it's amazing the inspiration that bubbles up and how it expresses itself individually across the board. And what fascinates me, going back to the comment about 80 million, people claiming Irish descent, is how even people who have Irish, ancestry, but who have been born and raised in a different country on different soil, in a different community, still have that bubbling of inspiration that comes up.
Well, here in Australia, right, I've got no doubt it's created our Australian ethos. You help out a mate. We're known for being great mates and our hospitality and stuff. Like, there's no doubt that it's been a cornerstone of the Australian way of life coming from Ireland.
Mm.
And I just want to throw out a shout out to Tom King. Thank you for my custom made mother pendant, because when I got into my mother phase, of course, discovering the power of that, everything had a crescent moon on it. And I asked a few other artists if they could create a full moon for me for the mother. And our lovely blacksmith was the one that did it for me. So thank you very much, King. You're all legend.
Thank you very much, Christy. And I'm just sharing in the conversation a link to, because our next speaker, our next friend is, of course, a good friend of Mythical Ireland's and someone who needs absolutely no introduction, Mr. Tom King, on Gowa, the blacksmith of the Boyne Valley. Please take the stage. If you can unmute.
Oh, hello there, Anthony. Hello there, friends of the Tuatha. What can I say after that? Wonderful endorsement by Christy. Thank you so much. You know what? I'm even feeling emotional listening to that, because do you know what? Greetings from the forge of the smooth road, Schliassil, Bohermeen, ancient corridor to the hill of Tara, Boyne Valley, Ireland. Ireland sends out much love to near and to far. A warm welcome to one and all. And you know what? First and foremost, I have to say to Anthony, many congratulations. It's been absolutely phenomenal. If you think of the long distance runner, if you think of those who want to climb Mount Everest because it's there, think of the resilience and think of the stamina and think of the heart and think of the strength. Well, this is what Anthony is in the mythical world. And you know what? He's one of the, he's a national treasure in the context of where we are, Boyne Valley, Ancient East, an island state. Look at his library, look at his enthusiasm, look at his humbleness. And you know what, during the lockdown period there, and he talks about it so admirably and so humbly there of his own experience. Well, I too had a very similar experience receiving a phone call from HR from my engineering design career. Tom, please stay at home until further notice. So I did. So what I did was I started making my jewelry, something I have a passionate about, the Celtic, the ancient world, you know, such a passion that if you can feel the hair on the back of your neck or the back of your arm stand on end, you know, you can guess that there's a resonance there, there's a connection there. So all of a sudden we set sail. Anthony was so kind to provide a little generous space there on Mythical Ireland. There was no resistance, shall we say. It was all very, very welcoming. And all of a sudden it just took off. It was phenomenal. The world looked on, the world reached out. I have pendants, I have St. Bridget's crosses in Australia, in New Zealand, in Canada, in Europe, in America. it's just been overwhelming. And even to this date, I just said goodbye to 2 guests coming from Wisconsin there. And I says, I must wrap it up if we don't mind. So we kindly, speedily ate our apple crumble and our cup of tea so I could tune in and dial into this world, just to say hello, a sincere thank you to Anthony, sincere thank you to the friends of the Tuatha. You know, I'm setting sail on a dream, and dreams become reality. I remember about 15 years ago, I have a post saved on Instagram by the great Judge Judy. And Judge Judy says, the most important thing in life is to find what you're strongest at. That's fine. Find what you're strongest at. The second most important thing is to find a way to make a living from it. So that's what I'm doing. And the ancestors have been so kind in the context of a living historical figure, our friends at the OPW, Anthony and all his colleagues, great tellers of story, great, imaginative, with the great legends of the past. Well, I have the wonderful niche opportunity of bringing that to life in the context of, sure, let's imagine you go back in Ireland thousands of years. What's changed with fire in 6,000 years? Absolutely nothing. And I have it here with my torches illuminating this atmosphere in the forge. So without further ado, I could quite happily talk on for another half hour, no problem. So I'll do like the proverbial budgie. I'm going to put a blanket over me now, and I'm going to go Cunis. Good health to all. The Boyne Valley. The Boyne Valley sends many blessings. God bless, Anthony. Take care, my good man. Here's good health to the next 300 and beyond. Thanks so much.
Yeah, if the rest of you don't mind, I would probably single out Tom as someone with whom I made a very special personal connection during the pandemic. The fact that he lives not far away, that when the lockdowns eased enough that we were able to meet up, we met at Douth halfway between him and me, and hit it off kind of straight away. Those of you who've met Tom will know it's not difficult to hit it off with him. He has that kind of personality. He just naturally just oozes warmth, laughter, friendship. Tom is the antithesis of everything that's wrong with the world. He is the exact opposite. He is the antidote to what's wrong with the world. And no wonder people are crowding into buses and making a beeline for the smooth road in County Meath. And yet, Tom, a big part of what unites us is that we've both had this fire under us. Pardon the pun. Fire under the forge. Since we were kids.
Yeah.
We both had dreams and visions, and then life takes over.
Yeah.
And all the rest. But I think we've both ended up in the place where we wanted to be all along. And what a privilege it is,
Well, again, Anthony, so kind. And if I can say, which is quite a funny story, last Saturday night, I had the honor of an MC role at the Trim Hookah Festival. And apparently I got word today by talking to Sanita, one of the storytellers of the tour operators in Trim. She said to me that there was 17,000 people lining the streets in Trim for the procession coming up to the main street. And I remember the guy with the blue high vis, he had a thing in his ear and a microphone on his collar, and he had his hand on my shoulder, giving me the nod when he got the nod. So I'm standing there waiting in anticipation, microphone in my hand, and I'm thinking, right, Tom, think of Anthony, think of Tuatha, think of mythical Ireland. They're all with you. And we went for it, and we had an absolute blast of an evening there, and I really enjoyed it. But the confidence was there, and the confidence is because of your good self, my good man, and my friends of the Tuatha. As a pack, as a community, who can stop us? Nobody. We're like the clans and the warriors of the ancient Ireland, strong in heart and strong in belief. And when you have that type of conviction, there is absolutely nothing that can stop us, and it is true. So again, sincere thanks. Thank you so much, my friends. God bless Anthony. God bless all who's watching and listening in. Boyne Valley sends many blessings. Wish you were here. Good night, all. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, friends.
And many happy returns, Tom. As I say, Tom is probably, of all the Tuatha, please forgive me for saying it, the one that probably most of you sort of feel a familiarity with more so than almost anyone else. Anyway, it's been a great pleasure. and long may it last.
Absolutely.
Here's raising a dram to your success and many years of it.
And to you, my friend.
Good health and prosperity.
Absolutely.
And to follow up, Tom, it's Desiree, I think. Hello. Or tell us how you say your name really.
I don't want to. I like the way y'all say it better. I like the way y'all say it much better. Gee, I don't want to get emotional, but Mythical Island, like I found y'all, it was during lockdown. And I also just discovered I was highly allergic to mosquitoes and I couldn't go outside at all. And I ended up having to, and it was really hard. And then I kind of got stranded. And because of Mythical Ireland, Miss Jo, I met her and she gave me and my puppies a place to stay. And I wouldn't have ever been able to get out of Louisiana, maybe if she hadn't done that. And then when I lost my puppy Azalea, Tom gave me this wonderful gift, with her name in it. And I've got to meet the Colorado Six, and we got to have the group with the Colorado Six, the meeting, and I don't know what I would have done if you didn't start this and these people hadn't come into my life. It's really been life-changing for me, and I better stop there so I don't cry. But I love all you people. Thank y'all very much.
I'm speechless.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come on and make everybody cry. I love like a lot of hard times. And all the puppies, here's Amadeus in his cone of shame to make it,
He looks very comfortable. But you're a real star. You're a real shining star of the Tuatha, Desiree. You have a great personality. You make friends easily. I'm almost certain, having never met you in person, that you make enemies very, very rarely, if at all. Thank you for the wonderful brightness that you bring to to Live Irish Myths and the wider community, and those who have had the fortune of meeting you are very lucky indeed, and we're lucky to have your company. And hello to himself, who's looking rather snug there beside you. But thank you indeed for your kind words, and unfortunately you brought out the emotion in me as well. So love you to bits, Desiree. So don't ever change. That's the main thing. Just continue to be your wonderful self, and you'll be fine, and we'll be fine.
One day I'll get out there and see y'all, I promise.
I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait for that day.
All right, I'll let somebody else go now.
Thanks, and good afternoon. And take it easy. I'm not sure who's next, but I know. Okay, Samantha and Michael Trott is there as well, but Sally, I think, was next. So Sally, I'm like a blubbering idiot at this stage, so I think you should take over.
I'm not much better here, Anthony. That's a hard act to follow, and Tom as well. You can hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Greetings from Sligo. For those online who don't know where Sligo is, we're a little bit of a forgotten county in the northwest of Ireland on the famous Wild Atlantic Way. Anthony is an absolute superstar of mythology in Ireland, as you all very much know, and it's been a real pleasure to get to know everybody, and it's fantastic to see all your faces, because you're usually slagging me off in the comments for all sorts of different comments that I put up. So it's great to be able to actually see your faces and enjoy being here together with you, and just to see the impact that the page has had for, I suppose, everybody has taken their own thing from it over the last few years. And for me, it's great to know other people both in Ireland and hopefully get to meet some of them at different events, and then to know that there's a community out there in the wider world is fantastic. And hopefully you guys will come and visit us here in Ireland as well. Anthony was out with me where I work during the summer, down at Carramore, which is an ancient passage stream site, older than Newgrange. Don't say anything about that. But it was a very unusual experience to have Anthony taking notes off me, not me taking notes off Anthony, which is usually what's happening. So look, congratulations on 300 episodes. I hope you have many, many, many more ahead, and I look forward to joining in with you all when you're back online again.
Brilliant.
And I'll see you at the weekend.
And I was just going to say, I will see you. Really looking forward. I love Sligo. So just to say, because maybe Sally just didn't say it confidently enough, or maybe she's a little bit, there's a bit of humility there. Sally is the chief guide at Carramore. And I have been down there with a couple of groups with Sally as our guide. And afterwards, the commentary was, she's an absolutely brilliant guide. And she's 100% right. On one occasion this year, I took comprehensive notes because I was really impressed with the level and quality and breadth of information that I was getting. And the other thing that she's right about is, of course, Carramore is a lot older by several centuries, maybe 5 centuries older than Brunabonia. If you haven't been, it's closed at the moment for renovations, but if you're planning to come to Ireland next year, put Sligo on your agenda. You will not regret it. I mean megalithic Sligo. Sligo is one of the most beautiful places in the world. As Michael Quirk, the woodcarver in Sligo town, says, it's the most fairy place in Ireland. And when you go there, you'll know exactly what I mean. Go to Carramore, see the Neolithic tombs there, climb the hills of the Brickleave Mountains, see Carrowkeel, climb Knocknarea if you're able to go up and see Queen Maeve's cairn and take in the views. It's just spectacular. Meath is a beautiful country, and it's lush and it's fertile, and you can see why the early farmers might, sort of really, ended up building the biggest monuments in Ireland there. But in terms of scenery, Sligo will absolutely blow you away. Sally, thank you for your kind words, and it's been a pleasure and a privilege to have been introduced to you and to know you. And thank you for the kind invitation. I'm going to Sligo this weekend to speak at the Sligo Field Club's annual conference, which is on Saturday. Really looking forward to it. The way I feel about Sligo is when I'm coming back down the N4, heading back home again, I don't want to leave. And that's saying a lot, because you all know I'm very strongly rooted to the Boyne Valley. Sligo has a very, very special place in my heart. But thank you for everything you do, Sally. And what day is today? It's Tuesday. So hopefully see you this time, 3 days, hopefully around time in the...
Absolutely, and I look forward to it. And it's not going to be live streamed, unfortunately. We just don't have the capacity. But if I take any clips, I'll send them on and you can share them with the community as well.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That'd be great. Super stuff. Thanks, Sally. And round to New Zealand, to Mr. Michael Trott. Is Joe still here? Joe, didn't know if you saw my message. I know she said she has to go at some point. Anyway, Michael.
Oh, well, it's nice to be here and see you all in the flesh or via the internet or whatever. Me Hollis Anam Dom. I've just been to Ireland this year, and I had the pleasure of meeting Tom, but unfortunately not meeting Anthony himself. He was off to Drogheda, I think, that evening. And it's just been great to be here. I can't remember when I joined, but feels like 18 months, 2 years or something. And it's been a pleasure. And I remember moaning on YouTube once, wouldn't it be great, 7 years ago, wouldn't it be great to have somebody publicize Irish mythology? And then you seem to appear on my radar, Anthony, and it's great to see. And because you go back a long way, I can see that on YouTube. And it's been brilliant to go to Drogheda. My father's from Monaghan, so it's not far away. My mother's people are from Limerick, Tipperary. She was from Dublin, so I stayed with an uncle while I was there recently. And I zoomed around 1,500 kilometers of Ireland, rather. But it was a joy. It was exhausting, but it was a joy. And I try not to go to the same places. I've been 3 or 4 times in recent years, before and after COVID. But I just want to say greetings from New Zealand. Let's hope for a good outcome in the world events. That's me being diplomatic. And it's a joy to see you all. And I love the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, the Celtic stuff throughout Europe. And if I had a dream, it would be go to every significant ancient Celtic site in Europe. That includes Gaul, etc. So just a pleasure to be here and say hello. And a big thank you to Tom, who I also met. He's still online. And the famous haka he did at this place, I was quite amazed. I thought, my goodness. And the fact that he did it in front of a local lady before me was even more funny, in my opinion. But he's a brilliant chap. I mean, you know, he's so wonderful, as you say. You both are. And so is the Tuatha. So thank you again. I won't say any more. I'll give time for other people. But I'm here and lovely to see you all. Cheers.
Thanks for joining us. Michael, just before you go, you might tell us what time of the day it is there.
It's about 10:30 now.
Ah, okay.
And Wednesday morning.
You're on Wednesday. Most of us are
It's an overcast day, as you can see a bit. I'm twirling around here, the neighborhood. Plenty of greenery around from my shack. But it's cloudy. It's cloudy.
I see that.
And, the sun is over there, straight that way. But it's shy like me. Not.
I see. Well, brilliant. Thank you. And you are one of the most reliable is a terrible word because it makes the other sound unreliable. You're one of the most regular Southern Hemisphere, Oceania area viewers, and oftentimes joining us early in the morning, your time, when it's evening time here. And what a great pleasure it is to welcome people from so far afield. And thanks for sharing that. Just to mention, just in case you haven't heard the story, Michael was in Ireland a few months ago. He was coming to visit Tom's forge. Tom was out on the road at the forge waiting for him to come along, and without Michael's knowledge, had planned to do a bit of a haka. You know the way the All Blacks do the haka at the beginning of a rugby match. So anyway, Tom's outside the forge and he sees a car coming down the road. So he starts this whole doing the haka, you know. And when the car gets closer, he realizes, oh, geez, that's not Michael, that's my neighbor. And the neighbor's looking, going, oh, he's really lost it now, you know. I mean, whatever about wearing sheepskins and, you know, and the whole on-gawa look. Now he's doing this weird dance on the public road, you know. Oh, brilliant.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Very memorable, definitely.
Yeah. That's a visit to Tom's Forge. Memorable is the right word. Thanks, Michael, and Sláinte.
Thank you too. Thank you all.
Next up is Samantha Healy. Now, I think, forgive me, I think Joe did tell me that she had to go at 9:30 my time, and I think she's gone. So I'm on my own in terms of managing the crowd. And as all of you ladies know, behind every successful man is a woman doing all the hard work. So Joe, I actually, now that she's not here, so that she can't blush with embarrassment before Samantha speaks, I want to pay special tribute to Joe, because in the background, Joe has done an awful lot for the Mythical Ireland community. She offers a lot of her time voluntarily in a very supportive role, and she's a very important person in the Mythical Ireland community. So thank you, Joe, who I fondly refer to. She told me once you can call me Auntie Joe, and so I've called her Auntie Joe ever since. And she feels like an auntie because she's very good. Here is a cheers to Joe, Sláinte Joe, and thank you for everything that you do. And this being recorded will be uploaded to YouTube afterwards, so hopefully she'll watch the part after she left so that we can embarrass the hell out of her. Anyway, Samantha, I have to ask you to unmute. Oh no, or is Joe still here? Somebody's pulling the strings and it's not me, so that's good.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. Good evening, and hello everyone to all the Tuatha, to Anthony, to Tom, to everybody. This is wonderful. Congratulations, first of all, on the 300th. It's amazing. I have been following your YouTube channel before I found the community on Facebook. So long time lurker. I'm originally from kind of Rostrevor area in County Down.
I know
And
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Just
so
up
the
the road.
Rostrevor area, but Slieve Gullion, the Twine is very, very important to me. The cycle of that whole region is very important to me. So when Mythical Island came on board and I got on board and listened and watched and observed, it became not a reality, but it kind of enthused me to investigate more into not what was legend, but what is reality, because we have not only the archaeological element, but we have oral history, which I firmly believe in, that the stories of what is truly our ancestry has resonance today. And I just want to say, Anthony, to Tom, to everybody who also shares this passion for our community, well done, and thank you very much. And I'll leave it there and someone else have a chat.
Thank you, Samantha. That's lovely. Well said. And yet, Rostrevor, of course, on the northern shore of Carlingford Lough, a most beautiful part of Ireland. And I'd like to think that a lot of what has gone on in Ireland is water under the bridge, because at one time, the two sides of the two stretches of land along Carlingford Lough looked across each other, across an imaginary border. And Carlingford Lough, a little bit like the Boyne River in Drogheda, was seen as something that divided. And I like to think now that it's rather something that unites. And of course, down there at Narrow Water, they're building a bridge, a new bridge to link Northern Ireland with the Republic. And partly, I believe, through peace funds and partly as a means of extending the hand of friendship. But it is a beautiful part of the world. That drive from Newry out to Warren Point and Rostrevor, all the way out to Kilkeel and around up into the Mournes and back down the road, the back roads to Newry. It's just fabulous. Anyway, Samantha, thank you very much for your kind words. We're doing grand. I'm not sure if there's many more people want to speak. I'm happy to hang around as long as you want me to hang around. But just bear in mind that I do want to open the mics, and I particularly want to mute mine because I just want people here. By the way, I just want to comment. Anne Doherty, you have been sitting very comfortably there on that chair with the folding out leg rest all evening. I mean, talk about, you look like royalty. It looks like a grand throne. You're there in the background and it's just like, ah, yes, I am the queen of my surroundings. And of course, I think I saw Bill passing through the view there a few minutes ago. You're in County Clare at the moment. You're not at home. You're at home. Here on the old sod. So it's great to see you. Even if at a distance, you are the picture of relaxation, you know? It's like, you know, I can almost imagine you having your portrait painted by a famous artist right now, you know? Brilliant stuff. Next up on the speakers list, speaker? Sounds like Parliament. Oh no. Sue Prenter, I believe, is next. Hello, Sue. We can't hear you, Sue. Hang on. I have to ask you to unmute. You haven't unmuted. I click that. We still can't hear you. Not good. That's the first.
She had it on briefly, but she needs to do it again.
Yeah. See, I can only ask you to unmute as the host, and I have clicked that, but there's constantly a slash through your. Oh, we want to hear Sue. Not working, is it?
There's two unmute buttons, one in the top and one in the lower corner of your picture.
Yeah, the lower one.
At the top, very top, press it unmute from the top. Press the screen, you'll see a top button. Have you got me now, Anthony?
I can hear you, Wayne, yeah.
Yeah, it's the button at the very top. You need to unmute it.
Yeah, I see. I don't usually. You did unmute there for a momentarily for a second, Sue. Just
can I just say something? Joe asked me to join earlier, and I ain't got a clue about this. I've done Zoom for years, but just very, very quickly, going up and down England, there's a lot of monuments. But when you go to Ireland, it's so concentrated. Ireland is with all the monuments and the burial grounds and everything. It's so nice compared to wherever you go. Really lovely place. Rosie's mom was born in Navan. We met the family last year. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, lovely. I'll leave you now.
Brilliant, Wayne. It's good to hear your voice, by the way, which I've never heard before.
A Brummie voice.
We're always chatting on message and Patreon and all the rest. So it's brilliant to see the face and hear the voice.
It's lovely to see everybody. Really appreciate everybody. Happy families.
Sorry, I'm just going to jump in here because that's what I do.
Well, I just 1 second. I just want to make sure to acknowledge that Mavanway and Barbara Murphy are next. So,
oh, man was only quick enough. It was just it's impressive that it's the first time so far tonight we've had a technical issue. And Wayne, cheers, mate, for not being me not being the only Brit. Thanks, bye.
We have amassed a community of friends all around the globe, and in the Mythical Ireland MythFlix community, as far as I'm concerned, we leave politics and religion and all our differences at the door. We're all, as John F. Kennedy said, we all breathe the same air. You know, we're all part of the human family.
Sorry, I'm not the only person in England. Sorry, I'm not the only person in England tonight. That's what I meant.
Don't worry. Lil, thank you for your comment. So I think Sue has disconnected and may reconnect. But Sue, if you happen to get connected, please do jump in and shout. Mavanway, you're on next. Okay, Sue's coming back in. Can you unmute Mavanway?
Hello.
Hello. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Oh, hello everyone. Oh,
hello
it's
there.
Lovely to see you all. I'm in Bristol today. It'll be Wales in a few days, so I'm between both places at the moment. But yeah, huge thank you to the community. I joined when I was very ill with COVID, and it really made a huge difference to me having Anthony's calming voice every evening when there was pandemonium all around me. So it really did help a great deal. And yes, can't believe it was every night. But I do remember one evening when I couldn't get on and I was furious because there was an internet problem. I thought I have to have my MythFlix, otherwise I won't stay sane. So it really did keep me sane through that difficult time. Yes, so I don't know what else to say really, other than, a huge thank you to everyone. It's been lovely, chatting to people, and sense of humor, and I'm very tired now. I was told to drink coffee. I can't drink coffee.
I'm doing the opposite. I'm drinking whiskey.
Oh, good for you. I think I've managed to get online, or at least
we can hear Sue now. We can hear Sue now.
Oh, that's
thanks for
just
disconnecting and reconnecting.
I have a very important announcement as well, is that Nora Gaffney is trying to put her hand up, but can't. So Nora Gaffney is also
duly noted. Thank you very much.
also on the list.
Yeah.
But...
Also, it's great to see you and to hear you, because for me, it's so strange. We've had episodes where there have been 200-300 viewers and a flurry of names flying up the side of the screen. And especially in the first year, of course, not having met any of you, I hadn't a clue, you know. So it's always lovely to see faces and to hear voices, and not to be the only one in the room speaking. Especially when it comes to jokes. Myfanwy, just before you go,
yes,
I named my new son Lance. Lance is quite a rare name these days, but in medieval times, people named their sons Lance a lot.
I don't know.
I hear the laughter.
Dad
You all
jokes.
laughed. I can hear it for a change. Yeah, and I can see the
knew
face.
what was coming in. This is what I do every time. I'm like this. I'm like this.
Oh God.
Oh God, there's another one.
That's the universal reaction. I'm used to that, because I tell dad jokes at the dinner table, and I told you before, I get this. You didn't just, yeah. So anyway, Myfanwy, a pleasure, and thanks, and looking forward to seeing you on the next one.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
Here's to the next 300, you know.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Don't forget
Thanks.
Nora.
Of course. And we're going to go round to Sue, because Sue missed her turn due to technical issues. But Sue,
Well,
you're
I managed
those
my own
technical
fault.
issues.
Didn't have the microphone on or something. Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you perfectly well now.
Listen,
yeah.
I'm only just very quickly, very moved by what everybody's been saying, especially Desiree brought everybody a tear to the eye. And between, with the support from Anthony and supporting him, and the cost that the money he's cost me from books and everything, not only buying all his, but every other book that I've had to buy whenever he's put it up. This, I'm in the kitchen, that's just an overflow. I have a study full of books, but anyway. And but it's just to say that, and if you'd all remember the time, and Tom, I don't know if Tom's still there, whenever Anthony went on the tour last year, the year before, and the van broke down and we all sort of gathered round. It just shows you what our community can do, and how wonderful it is. And it's great to be part of it. I don't want to embarrass Anthony anymore, but he's been a great lifeline to me, and I know to everybody else who's joined in today. So a big thank you, Anthony. Keep it going, and we'll be here to support you. Okay. And the dogs, I don't know if you might have seen, this is Owen, who was he was rescued and badly beaten up and an awful mess when he was found. So he's one of my 4 rescues. So anyway, I have that in common with Desiree and others. Anyway,
brilliant.
It's been a super evening. I've loved every minute of it, and great to hear you all.
Yeah. And you also, and we, Sue, had an opportunity to meet at Fornox on one of my tours. That was last year, wasn't it?
Last year. Oh, it was, and your book, and it's just as you said, it's like a TARDIS. You go inside. I was absolutely gobsmacked. It's wonderful. Absolutely.
Place. Yeah. Well, thank you for your kind words, but
not at all.
For your long-standing support. I have I don't know where you're getting this idea that I promote the idea of book sales. Not just my you know, I don't know. I just happen to flash up books during episodes and people go, "Ooh, me likey, me needy," you know, and then they're going Amazon or wherever, you know, and the credit card's out, and then I'm getting the blame.
Your fault. It's all your fault.
Anyway, yeah, it's a
Thank
good library. For me, a good library is a good sign. That's all I can say. But thanks, Sue. Barbara Murphy, and after Barbara, it's Nora. And if there isn't anyone else, we'll do the open mic thing. If there is someone else, you'll have to share it in the chat, because I'm on my own now. Auntie Joe had to go. And I'm hapless and useless all of a sudden without the most important woman behind the scenes. Barbara asked to unmute. There we go. Barbara, shoot.
I think, or is it working?
It is working.
Oh, good. As the people reading the comments understand, I'm not good at this technology. Big thank you to everyone. This has been such a big part of my I can't describe how much. Tom sent me a little gift when I lost one of my cats that just, I see it every day and it makes me smile about her and makes me smile about him, which brings me back to all of you who make me smile. I've had the joy of stopping in and making arrangements to have dinner with Dina Sparks and driving through Albuquerque once. Of course, Lexi has become probably my closest family member of the most important kind of family, the type we make. I joined you, boy, in the first 20 episodes, and I don't have any clue how I found you, but you kept me sane during the COVID lockdown, although I have to admit I'm one of the rare people who actually, not for the reasons, but enjoyed the lockdown because I found people like all of you. So thank everybody, and hopefully I'll see more of you as I make travels. Definitely, Ireland is on high on the list. So safe and happy to everyone. Thank you.
Well, there were a lot of people who actually did. Yeah. Well. Thank you very much, Barbara, and yourself and Lexi, of course. I always see these sort of little side conversations going on, It's like all I can think of is thick as thieves, but in a very good way, of course, in a very good way. And in terms of how you found me, you probably stumbled into a rabbit hole, a magical rabbit hole portal just opened up before you. But we've been
You
all the best.
actually even got me started in it with. You actually got me started with Duolingo, and this is what I'm trying to read now. So hopefully, along with every other book you've ever done, I'm actually thinking about buying a new house because I don't have any more place to put bookcases, let alone the books that are stacked everywhere.
Same, copy and paste. Yeah, I know all about it. The struggles, I know, because yeah, I know, without laboring the point. But Barbara, thank you. And as I always say, it's always a pleasure to welcome another Murphy into the Mythical Ireland Library. It's a great name. You just, when people say to you, what's your name? And you say Murphy, immediately, without saying anything, you can just see the thought processes going on in their head going, Irish, or there's Irishness there somewhere in the background, but brilliant. And come here, listen, good luck getting the new house. Yeah, onwards and upwards, and just make sure that when you're planning it, that you think about all the books you're going to buy over the next whatever number of years, and probably double that capacity, I would say. And you probably still won't have enough.
Definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. Nora is up next, and then if there isn't anyone else, hang on, just checking hands up thingamies. We'll just do an open mic. Nora, you take the floor.
Well, King Queen Wilshire Golair, it's lovely to be here with you all and listening to all your fantastic voices. Oh my God. But it's funny, it's like what Anthony was saying, it's like you picture what people sound like, and it's mad. Like, I feel like I know you all already, but this is my first time actually seeing you all, but you are all looking lovely. Look at you. You are gorgeous. But yeah, it was just funny. John was saying earlier about redwoods, and I go up to a forest over the weekend, and I do go up and I hug my little redwood up there. And then Saoirse was mentioned about collie dollies, and that was one of my first dollies. It was a collie dolly, would you believe? It was like she took me back there. But yeah, I had to laugh at Chat and saying about skimming the surface. You never really got a chance to get much done because you'd start on the rabbit holes and that'd be it. Sure, we'd be lost to somewhere else and then trying to bring us all back. And then, of course, there was chaos in the comments down below. And, you know, and you were great trying to reel us all in and teach us something, you know. And then we had, you know, all the drams that went on as well. And then we'd have the other crowd interfering with the Wi-Fi. And I think I went full packet of ginger nuts one time because someone decided if we left out offerings that the Wi-Fi would behave. And I had a biscuit to myself afterwards, but that was another night I remembered. And of course, the black and the red books. Now, I think my name is in most of those books that you have, but the crack, I do love the crack with that. You know, when you're sneaking in and, you know, there's a big thing about the red book, you know, when it was black, but then it went to red all of a sudden, it went to, you know, got serious there for a while, you know. It's something terrible. But yeah, oh, just brilliant because I joined the same, it was just before the COVID, and it was just brilliant. Like every day you had your time to get yourself online in your little corner of your room and have a chat and listen to all yous, and you know, you'd bring us to this other place that just wasn't where we were at that time, which was just brilliant, you know. And I always remember that Chop Dog Derga with the lovely shins and everything. Oh my God, we had such a laugh on that episode. We were in knots, you know. It was so funny, and about rashers and all on the fire. You know, of course, we went off on a complete other tangent altogether. Some of us is the story, but it was great. And fair play to you, Anthony. Like, you kept us sane, and it kept us kind of, you know, walking the path and doing what we were supposed to be doing, and not being too afraid. And like, it was great just knowing, reaching out to all corners of the world, that everybody was feeling the same. It wasn't just you, you know, everybody was doing it and doing their best to try and stay safe and everything. And we lost people as well. I remember it was very sad, but that's what you did, and you were great, and you brought us through it and out the other end. And like, here we are all together, you know, in this wonderful little group of mad jokes, you know, and it's all okay to be mad and crazy. You're very welcome, you know, when you are. So yeah. Absolutely fabulous. Fair play to you, Anthony, you know, well done. It's been great, you know. I feel like I know you all. It's mad, isn't it? And this is my first time, like, to actually see you. It's really weird. It's wrecking me head, but it's brilliant, you know. And every time, of course, you say phenomena, my head goes to the Muppets, you know.
Phenomenal.
Every time, it's like, oh my God. But yeah, thanks a million, Anthony. Fair play to you.
Well, thank you, Nora.
These are all great.
And a round of applause there all around, which is brilliant. Thank you especially for your good humor.
Right.
You know, as we say in these parts, the crack does be mighty, and I think that's just something about. I think there's a lot of us Irish, a lot of us, not all of us, but a good proportion of us, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We can laugh at the world, but we can laugh at ourselves and have a bit of crack. And that aspect of it has been as equally enriching for me as any reading of mythology or, you know, any scholarly discussion, has been the absolute hilarity and fun and the mishaps and, you know, the jokes and the attempted jokes on my part.
Monty Python, of course. We have to mention Monty Python.
Yeah, and Monty Python, yeah, and the silly walks, and all of that stuff, yeah. Yeah, he's not dead. He will be in a minute. Yeah. Brilliant. Nora,
Monty Python again.
you are one of the ones who's helped to contribute enormously to that. So hats off to you, and thank you for being part of it, because
I couldn't be anywhere else, Anthony. It's just
it's brilliant. Except for swimming in the sea, of course, every day.
See, I am mad, do you know? Do stuff like that.
You don't have to be mad to be Irish, but it helps.
It really does, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Just before we do the open mic, I do see one more hand up, and that is Paul Campbell over in Galway. Do I have to ask people to unmute, or can you he can unmute. Brilliant.
Yeah, I've just unmuted. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. So so greetings from Galway City on the west coast of Ireland, the Atlantic west coast. No, I just want to say thank you, Anthony. I remember the first time I tuned into your live stream. It was, I don't know, would it have been maybe July, maybe June, July, and you already were on something like live stream number 85. You had really started early. I mean, and I'm a big fan of the Facebook Live platform. Like, I've followed different live streams. You're aware of one, which is the No Name Trivia Show.
No Name Trivia Show, yeah.
And thank you for appearing on that. I think it was 3 times you appeared on it, and it takes place at 8 o'clock on a Monday, but in Australia, so it's quite different. It's 8. You are 8 o'clock in Ireland, where I am, and so I just made a couple of notes here because I'm not great at speaking off the cuff, but I remember, the 100th episode happened fairly quickly because it was once every day. And then it took quite a while to get the 200 episode and then the 300 episode. But I remember the 200 episode, I think that was in the form of a quiz.
Yeah. The really difficult quiz that I didn't think was going to be that difficult.
Yeah. And
sorry, folks.
And I think, what I liked about the Facebook platform is the functionality of the chat, in that, people can chat with each other, and you're particularly great at reading the comments and interacting as if we were all there together, So that was the start. That's what I liked. So that's really just what I want to say. And I want to just introduce myself because I know you're a Facebook friend of mine. I just wanted to say hello.
Yeah, I haven't heard your voice before. So it's a great pleasure to hear you for once, instead of just reading your comment on the side of the screen. No, but seriously, as I've been saying all night, and I mean it sincerely, this 300 would never have happened had it not been for the viewership, and not just the viewership, but the interactions and the community that built up. And for me, that was important in terms of curating. I say curating rather than managing. Managing sounds too official. It sounds like we need this to be there, and we need you to do this, and we need you. It's not about managing. It's about curating a space in which people can feel friendship and that reaching out that has been a hallmark of the whole thing, which to me is the greatest success story of the whole thing. That and the fact that people all around the world have taken such a huge interest in not just Irish myth and legend, but Irish culture and history and archaeology and all of the things that we talk about. As I say, I think I've said on a few occasions, Paul, when you've joined, you always say, it's Paul Campbell here in Galway City on the west coast of Ireland. And I always say, right, and that's Paul from the west coast of Ireland. Now we go to the west coast of the States because somebody from Oregon or Washington or California is on. But anyway, listen, it's a great pleasure. I'm going to, if you don't mind, throw the mic open. Anybody who wants to say and talk to anybody else, please do. And I ideally would just like to sit back and enjoy watching it while I take my dram.
And we want to hit Anne.
Who's that?
Anne. Anne wants to speak.
Oh, sorry. Who's Anne? Anne Scott Doherty, is it?
Yes.
Oh, the Queen, my lady. I can't see her. I can hear her, but Anne, you please. Oh, there you are.
Okay.
I'll show you.
I wanted to talk about rabbit holes. Rabbit holes are very important. It made me realize that I'm in a community of curious people who have a yearning to learn. And that's important to me. And I thank you for that.
You're very welcome. And it just wouldn't be the same without those rabbit hole diversions, I think, you know?
Well, I have to tell you that my computer died this week when I went down a very deep rabbit hole.
Yeah. That's
Anyway,
reminds me a little bit about.
That's what I had to say.
Oh, thank you. It reminds me of I can't remember the exact quote, but when they're talking about in Lord of the Rings, they're talking about the mines of Moria, you know, and the fact that I think it was Gandalf, and it was the awakening of the Balrog, that the dwarves had mined too deeply in the depths of Moria. So perhaps you had gone down too far into the rabbit hole and you know, perhaps awoken some sort of technological specter in the darkness. But very glad to see you joining us and to hear you. And especially, you looked by far the most comfortable of all of us this evening, apart from Amadeus, of course. Amadeus had the best seat in the entire house, and you had the second best, you know? But brilliant. Anyway, come here, fire away, open up the microphones and have a chat.
All right. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Anne.
Well, I'll apologize for running out in like a yo-yo, but I've officially gone to the dogs. So I think chasing rabbits down rabbit holes. We had two 16-week-old puppies, Brittany Spaniels and a 3-year-old Brittany Spaniel. Never mind the labs. So they were chasing rabbits down some rabbit hole, Anthony, so I'm not sure they didn't land in your backyard.
Oh, they probably did.
Extending the kennel run to Australia, I think, as well. I've got holes all over the back kennel run. So sorry, my apologies, folks, for bouncing out and in, but my husband's away hunting, so I'm on dog duty. So
very good.
Do it.
Excellent.
Thank you, Anthony.
Very welcome.
Thank you so much for everything tonight. It's been wonderful.
Oh, Lexi, thank you. I have to single out Lexi as another shining star in the MythFlix Tuatha, and a wonderful supporter. I hope your husband is better and improving.
We're on the downhill slide now, and he has one more surgery in December 10th. And after that, about probably 5.5 weeks of radiation. And that should do it. It's been, you know, it's tough. I've had to miss a number of episodes.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. But you please pass on our best wishes, mine personally, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone who's here. And please pass on our best wishes for a speedy path to recovery.
Thank you. It's because of him I'm with you today, because he's the one that set all this up. I'm an archaeologist. I know how to work maybe some archaic machines, but not these.
You know how to use a trowel. Yeah.
Abacus. I can do an abacus. Thank you.
You see what I mean about the sense of humor? It's just brilliant. It's infectious.
Anthony, I just want to know there, do you have a favorite episode of the 300?
A favorite? Oh, well, we did have a lot of crack. Nora mentioned we did 4 episodes on Tugal Brunja da Derga, the destruction of Dergas, and that descended into hilarity at times. Geez, that's a good question. Talk about putting me on the spot. Actually, one of my favorites, because it was a real mind opener for me, was the one called the Sligo Bones, about that phase of activity at Carrow Keel, based on the osteo examination. Oh, geez, you really did put me on the spot.
I thought the episode, Anthony, I think was the 21 or so, on Dronehenge. I thought that was great. It was just, you were in this kind of like fog of enlightenment. It was great.
Yeah, There's been a few episodes where I don't need any script. I could just literally talk and talk and talk. Of course, one of those, or it was more than one, but I know there was one particular episode we did on the DNA findings at Newgrange that was particularly riveting. And of course, Dronehenge, because personally, of course, yeah, it has a very special resonance. So you can understand why I'd be rabbiting on. See what I did there? Yeah, actually, I'd have to. It's funny, Sally, but I'd have to actually go through. I've forgotten a lot of it. I get reminders from people about things that happened in episodes. When you're on this side of the camera and you're so focused, you actually forget a lot of what has happened. Especially in the first year when we were doing daily episodes. You know, it's just so rapid fire that the next morning comes and you're like, okay, I'm back on this evening. What am I talking about? You're designing graphics. You're looking up the material that's going to prompt you. You're maybe taking some notes. Yeah, so I'll at some point I'll have to scroll through and maybe, you know, pick out a few favorites. Yeah, very good question, by the way.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And I have to say, I love every moment and the thing where somebody comes up with something and you're just like, I think I have that here. And you turn around and you just pick the thing off the bookshelf and you know, like it's indexed exactly in your mind where everything is. So I wish my bookshelf was just quite so in my mind.
Yeah, well, that's the important thing. There's no great organization here. If you were to come in here and arrange these by subject and by title and by author, you would completely upset everything and I wouldn't know where anything was. The fact that they're so randomly organized makes it easier for me. I always say ADHD brain. I reckon I have undiagnosed ADHD. I'm sure of it. But anyway, brilliant. Yeah, I'll see you on Friday evening, Sally, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've
forward
plenty
to
of organization to do between now and
I
then.
can imagine.
We'll get
You're a
there.
you're a busy lady, you're a busy woman. Yeah. Well, fair play for putting it together, and hopefully it'll be. I've no doubt it'll be a great success.
In conversations were brilliant, weren't they?
Yeah, and I kind of would love to go. I'd love to do more of those.
Oh, they were deadly.
I think we should, yes, more.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
they reached out and they got back to you, like.
Yeah,
it was brilliant.
People tended to be more available, of course, in 2020.
Yeah.
A lot of these scholars and archaeologists and all that were sitting at home with nothing to do, so they were perfectly happy to join a Zoom. Do you know, that reminds me, I want to raise a glass to the late Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey was, I can't remember which episode of the Conversation series, an extraordinary scholar, an extraordinary dendrochronologist who has contributed to such an extent in terms of Irish archaeology that it's unquantifiable. And just to share something with you very briefly, after the Zoom had finished, because you remember we did those conversation episodes on Zoom. After the Zoom episode was finished and you all left the room, I was left chatting with him and he opened up about a few things. It struck me that for someone who was so scientific and such a scholar, he actually seemed to have a sort of an almost poetic and mystical view of things, and had the most extraordinary synchronicity happen to him in terms of completing his bog oak tree ring sample, which had basically given us a record of climate events in Ireland stretching back 7,000-8,000 years ago. Mike passed away earlier this year, and I'm really sorry about that, because I would have loved to have done some follow-up with him. However, regardless of that, he has left an enormous legacy. Someone else, can't remember the ladies, was it Anya, mentioned that she was a good friend of, or personally acquainted with, Bob Quinn. it struck me that it was such an enormous pleasure and privilege also to share the room, as it were, with some of these giants of their spheres, and how lucky I was in particular, and we all were, to have the benefit of that time and expertise. So yeah, so I'm telling you now, I'd love to do it. I'm not committing to doing it because I fear that the commitment is greater than what I can offer. But that's definitely something I want to leave on the agenda, as it were, for the coming year, is to do more of those conversation episodes and more of that in-depth Q&A stuff with some of the experts in their fields, because I enjoy it immensely. I always learn from it, not just one thing, but several things, you know, and it's almost like I feel that the community also has a great feedback. So the likes of Eddie Lenihan, JP Mallory, who else? Jim Fitzpatrick. Yeah, you know, all real giants in their own little, pardon me, in their own big spheres of knowledge, you know. Moncon, yeah, he was the first, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then
episode 1, yeah.
Creedon as well. He was brilliant.
Who was that?
Creedon. Didn't you have Creedon?
John Creedon.
John, yeah.
John Creedon.
Yes. Yeah, John's lovely.
A special treat about tonight has been everybody's fabulous accents.
Yeah.
Everybody has a wonderful accent. I'm so jealous.
Can I throw in a question at the moment, because I have to tell my publisher what name I want to go by, and I'm just wondering for the Americans here, those, because you know it'll be an American publisher, is my first name a problem? I mean, Saoirse, there's no problem now because of the famous actress, but my name, I don't know how many people find it easy to say Anya. Is it a name that's usual in the States? Could anybody fill me in on that, please?
It's not very usual, and people will probably pronounce it Anya rather than Anya.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, the singer Anya.
Yeah.
There's the singer, isn't she? Her name is very similar.
Enya. But I know when I was with some Americans at a conference, they were calling me Ain, and so I'm not so sure. I think it might be an impediment to have. Maybe I should revert to Anne.
Fine.
Yeah.
Mother, it'd be fine.
I wouldn't
Sorry?
change. I wouldn't change.
I wouldn't honestly.
No,
I wouldn't
okay.
change it.
Okay.
Anya, I wouldn't change it.
Your name.
Be yourself, Anya. Be yourself.
I
Don't worry
okay.
about how people are going to pronounce it. Don't try to be something else.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's not as
agree.
difficult as Mavanui.
Yeah,
And I insist on using my name.
Yeah.
Well, it's like me. I mean, when it comes to my OnStar on my vehicle, I get pronounced Sheilaf. So I think I'm the local collie dog, you know. I mean, I get so many different pronunciations of my name, and I live my name. I love my name. My first name means woman. My middle name is Francis, which I went by for years and nobody could ever spell it right. Which means freedom, and gun means warrior. So hang on to your name and honor your book, because it.
Thank you.
Absolutely agree with that.
Won't hurt us to learn something.
They did it after the grand.
Just, oh, sorry, me button in again. Yeah, if you've got an Irish name, you're trying to sell books in America, I think keeping your Irish name will be fantastic for publicity.
You think so? Okay.
Your name, you'll be proud of it. Everyone will learn the name Anya.
Okay, no, I don't think I could be that famous, but you know, my married name is Bonnefoy, which is French, and so it is about a French guy who comes to Ireland, you know, in the 13th century. So the Irish-French mix in my name actually suits me. So I'm glad to have approval from you guys. So I'll keep it.
Don't change it. Don't change it.
Okay, thank you.
Very briefly, because I forgot to do this at the start, I have to read out a couple of messages. Germone sent a message to say, unfortunately, I can't participate in the celebration this evening, but I wanted to share with you that Live Irish Myths has been inspirational to me, a treasure trove of myth, landscape, sacred sites, archaeology, the stars, and so much more. I love that your storytelling is so grounded in reliable sources and backed up by your vast knowledge of sources. I dip into the fabulous resource of the videos at all times of the day and night and love the feeling of belonging in a group that has so much love and respect for our ancient culture. Sheila thought she wasn't going to be on, but is on, which is brilliant. Erica Bow, unfortunately, sends her regrets that she's not able to make it because she's working, and that's completely understandable. So just a quick hello to Erica, a long-time supporter. And our good friend Helen Hirsch-Chader sent me an email today saying, just wanted to send my sincerest thanks for your work in leading us through the pandemic and beyond. As you know, Mythical Ireland podcasts have changed my life. Little did I know where your amazing mythology episodes would lead me. It was a pleasure to get to meet you last year and to enjoy several tours with you at Tara, Douth, Fornox and Newgrange. Congratulations on your 300th episode. We'll miss the Zoom today. So sorry about that. Thank you for all that you do. So just to read out those few comments from people who weren't able to make it, because I know that they'd love to have been here.
Oh yeah, I was wondering about Helen not being here, being such a big fan as she is. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out too. This is Ty.
Hello, Ty.
Archaeoastronomy Database. Yeah, just really appreciate the community and you're an inspiration, Anthony, and I'm trying to get things off the ground, and I really appreciate any shout outs you've given me over the year or two that we've been on here, and it's just been great.
Well,
appreciate all of your support too.
Bad boy.
Yeah, I appreciate your work and your whole approach to things, and I like the fact that you've tried to sort of include everybody in contributing to your database of, you know, alignments and observations, which I think is exactly the way to do it, to make it inclusive, to make it to make people feel they can participate in it, which is something that is probably missing from some of the more serious studies that are done, is that they tend to be done behind closed doors by scholars, and then the information revealed to the public at the very last, you know, where you were much more inclusive. It was always also a great pleasure. Was that 2022 or 23 when we met at Douth, Ty?
I think it was 22.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, we'd had a trip scheduled during the pandemic, and then the airline, you know, reimbursed us and said you can't go, and then we were able to use the credit later and come just afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that I appreciate you saying that. That is always my philosophy in gathering this data. I have a commenter or two on my Facebook that sometimes say, these are the only alignments that exist. That's not the alignment. This isn't the alignment. And I just say, look, I'm just gathering all the data. We'll put it all in. We can categorize it. You can filter out ones that don't fit your criteria. You can filter in the ones that do. Yeah. And let's just get the data and not just leave it, you know, just don't leave it out. Put it all in, and then you can look at it.
Yeah, it's a great approach. Also love your videos. You have a very good way of explaining sometimes complex astronomical issues. Issues is the wrong word. Concepts. Yeah, to the lay public, as it were, which I enjoy immensely, because that's always been a challenge for me. I sort of innately understand the mechanics of the solar system and the universe because I've been interested in astronomy since I was about 8 years old. But you sometimes have to step back from that and realize, hang on a second, most of the public actually don't really know the technicals. And of course, then you're trying to teach the public an entirely different type of astronomy, the old visual astronomy, the type of astronomy that's not done anymore, because the modern astronomy is all about telescopes and binoculars and space telescopes and, you know, zooming in on things.
Right.
In the Stone Age, you saw what you saw with your eyes, and you just saw the movement of it and the shapes and, you know, the repeating patterns of it, and tried to encode that into story and song and maybe megalithic art as well. So really love
maybe being a school teacher, maybe that about, mostly 12, 13, now more 14, 15-year-olds. I've had to get into that habit of being able to explain things, and luckily I've had in some of my different posts and positions the flexibility to kind of, I've worked a lot more astronomy and Neolithic culture into the curriculum than maybe other teachers would have, but some of my schools had that flexibility. So I kind of just ran with it, and it's always
Yeah.
been part of what I do.
Well, I think if you have a passion for something, then you should. It's not about trying to educate. It's not inculcation. It's inspiring. That's what it is. Because as I always say, and I do tours with school kids, I do tours of the murals, I do tours of the ancient sites. And I always say to the teachers, they say, it's kind of a day out for them. I say, yeah, but you don't know which of those children will be totally captivated by something that they've seen or heard that day that will lead them into a lifetime, a career choice, down the line, that they will always look back at this one moment. I remember this time we were up at Lough Crew, and there was this guy telling us this platoon points there and this platoon points all the way back to Sligo, and the sun rises here and the moon sets there. And you just don't know that in some child's mind, there's a mind-blown moment that will be the foundation of everything that follows.
Yeah, there's nothing more rewarding than hearing that back. Some of my first students now are just coming into adulthood, and now and again I hear back from one that just say, hey, the things that we did in class just were really inspiring to me, and I really enjoyed it. And so that's always a great day when you hear that.
That is a big win every time, a big win. I hate to single anyone out, but I'm just aware that some people are introverted, and I'm not sure. So please, I don't want to embarrass anyone, but Edina Sparks, you haven't said anything tonight, and I'd really love for you to say something. Yes, and I can see you,
Anthony.
Huh?
I'm here.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
And it's I love our community. It's I just love all of it. And I, like everybody else, I don't remember how I found you, but during the pandemic, my job went away, and the group has been my savior. So it's been great, and I love everybody. And Barbara and I had a great time together. Hi, Lexi. And it's just great seeing everybody and their faces. And Rowan, I know you from way back. Probably don't remember me, but I do. I know you from way back.
Yeah, you look familiar.
Yeah. But it's a great group, Anthony, and I'm so happy with everything you've led us through and the rabbit holes, and it's great. We've all had fun.
Well, yeah, it's been a pleasure. And I just felt I should acknowledge the fact that at the very least you've been in the room all night. I hope I didn't put you on the spot. But
just a little.
Well, I know, but I didn't want you to feel left out either. And speaking of which, right beside you in the next square is Heather Marie Leaning, who I don't think we've heard from this evening. Am I right? Yes. I can't hear you. Can you? Are you able to unmute, Heather Marie?
Not sure what the problem is.
No, we can't hear you. Can you press your unmute button, or do you know where that is? No. I can see the look on your face. It's like, where's that? I know if you don't use Zoom regularly, it can be a little bit difficult to figure out. But anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that you're there, and you've been there all evening, and just to say hello, because a lot of people have spoken, and we've been very glad to hear them all. But there's a few people, and Tuesday Thompson seems to be dark and muted, so maybe away from. It's 2.5 hours now. At this point, I am going to probably suggest that we wrap it up.
Anthony, did you
Yes.
get the message I asked Joe to send you?
You asked Joe to send me a message.
She said she did.
Okay, well, if she said she did, she absolutely did. But
Well, all right, I'll just.
Okay, we will close out on that one.
I will only do one verse. How's that?
Yeah, that's absolutely perfectly fine.
All right. Jannanalish Yunnashben Yuraitai Asman Rise Lantashi Aseshtabe Uro Riyaharo Thank you. I just wanted to send my little blessing song to people.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rowan.
That was
And
lovely.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us. And we'll see you.
Good night. Thank you very
Episode
much.
301
Thank you.
next Monday.
Bye.
Have a fabulous
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.